semi-deployed status. You'll see semi-deployed. It means that you can fire them while they're not deployed, but they're not gonna have the stability from a tripod. Okay, so now we're going to plant a fire mission right here in this green area. The idea is, because it takes time for a fire mission to arrive, many minutes usually, you want to think ahead. You need to think about where the enemy is going to be when that fire mission arrives. If I put it right here, they're probably going to be gone by the time the fire mission arrives. So, ideally, you need to use a spotter unit to call on the fire mission. Headquarters will work with the flag icon. Optimally, you'll have a forward observer, which is the little binocular symbol guy. These guys are specialized units for calling in fire support. Some of the higher level, like really big guns, only forward observers can call in. So they're very valuable assets, and you can see down here they got a radio in the special command panel. They always have radios too, which makes them very valuable. You'll want to preserve these guys. You don't want to use them for fighting. So, to start a fire mission, you're going to click above here, the fire support panel. You're going to click on this to activate the fire support panel. You notice that this all changes. So what you do is you click, this shows the support you have available. So this is the 3 mortars that are here. This is them. You can also have off-map stuff, which we'll see later in the mission. So click on it, and then, whoops, what did I just do? Whoop, I clicked out. Okay. First, you're going to tell it what kind of mission it's going to do. Point target means you set one spot, and it's going to shoot at that one spot. Area target, so a point target would look like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cancel a mission and show another one. Area target, click once, and then you drag out, and it makes a circle. The rounds are going to land anywhere inside that circle. So that's for, bombarding a general area. And then linear target, click once, then click again, you set a line. It's going to shoot on a line. Or generally, I mean, the rounds are going to deviate, but that's the optimal path of the rounds. Okay, so we're going to do point missions. Also, an important note is one spotting unit, like this FO team, can only control one fire mission at a time, or one support request. They mean the same thing, same words. Okay, so, or same term. So what that means is, once I start a fire mission with these guys, they are stuck to doing just that fire mission. They can't start another one until that fire mission starts, like, actually shooting full blast. Then they can start another fire mission, but they're locked into that one. Because they're busy directing that one fire mission, so they can't start others. You can assign multiple mortars or multiple support elements to the same fire mission by shift-click on another one. You'll notice that both of them highlight. So now both of these mortars are going to follow whatever orders I give. So we're going to do a point target. We'll select here. You'll notice that for on-map units, you'll notice that a green line connects the spotter and the elements that he's calling the fire mission in for. So they all connect to the target. Next, we're going to do mission type, and this is going to dictate how fast they shoot, like how fast they shoot rounds at the target. Emergency means that they're going to not do any spotting. They're just going to start immediately shooting at the target. This is extremely risky. Those rounds could land pretty much anywhere. Those rounds could just land anywhere. But it also means the mission arrives a lot more quickly. Emergencies should only be used for bona fide emergencies. You don't want to use these usually. Heavy means that they're going to fire as fast as they can. They're going to expend their rounds really quickly. And harass means, all the way on the other end, harass means they're only going to shoot around like once every minute or two. Harass is really useful if you want to deny a chunk of terrain to the enemy, like you think the enemy might move through this terrain. You can just put it on harass, and the unit will shoot over a very long period of time, very lightly at it, but the rounds will land often enough that it will probably convince him not to move units through that area, because he could get unlucky and a round will land right on top of him. And then smoke is something in the last mission of the campaign we'll deal with, and that is, it's pretty simple. They shoot smoke rounds. That's what they do. So we're going to do medium. Duration, once again, it's another parameter that helps the fire mission. It tells it how long to shoot. Maximum means it will shoot until it's used up all its rounds, and then these are, long and shoots for many, many minutes. Quick, usually like less than a minute. We'll do medium. And then we confirm it. Okay, so now if we go into the fire mission, you'll see that these are going to be unavailable. You can see the spotter is busy because he's already doing a mission. You can't access this mortar. So they are now in receiving stage, and yeah, we're going to go ahead and let the turn go. So that's how you call in a fire mission. Alright, so this is going to be a pretty quiet turn, so we're just going to fast forward through it. You'll be able to get an idea of what the enemy units are doing by the icons jumping around. Okay, they should still be in receiving. They are. And by the way, down here you will see a countdown to delivery. This is when they should start. I don't remember if it's spotting or fire for effect. We'll find out pretty quickly. But yeah, so we got 2 minutes till delivery. You can also cease fire right here. You can stop the mission if you want to cancel. And over here you can see how much ammo the support asset has.
Корректируйте огонь. Отбой. Корректируйте огонь.
So you'll get some audio voiceover text when the support asset enters a new phase, which we'll go into in a moment when we end. So we got some German units attacking. Okay, so we've also got an armored car moving up the road. German armored car, lightly armored vehicle, still has a pretty nasty weapon against infantry. This is an ideal spot for the anti-tank gun, as you're about to find out. So, covering the road, anything going down that road is going to be toast, because this anti-tank gun is going to nail it. You see that he's spotted it. If you look down here and see the soldier says aiming, and the contact is visible, and it's nailed. So, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good example of a keyhole anti-tank gun defense. So this is stop moving, and it's dead. Yeah. Knocked out the armored car. Then over here we've got German infantry moving into the attack. They're pretty much doomed. It's a pretty easy defense mission. They're not going to give us much trouble. I took a casualty there. You can see the flashing icon. Okay, so we heard some voiceover text over the radio. So we have now entered, okay, so yeah, delivery does, that's when you go to spotting phase. So spotting phase is, you'll notice it's green, that means that it's actually firing now. It's going to shoot one round at a time, and the forward observer is going to dial in, send back corrections to the unit and that stuff. And it's basically, you're going to see rounds impacting, and they're going to get closer and closer until he finally goes, into fire for effect, or I think it's just called firing in this game. Yeah, and then this will say firing, and then the actual mission will start. This is also something useful for you to think about. If the enemy starts calling in a mission on you, and you see a single round hit here, and then a single round hit there, and then a single round hit there, you can see it moving closer to its target. You got a pretty good idea the enemy is about to call a fire mission in on you, and you might want to move out of there. So that's something to watch for. So spotting. How long this phase takes completely depends on the experience level of the spotter and the firing unit, how solid his line of sight is to the target, that sort of stuff. It's highly variable. Also, it tends to be longer. The bigger the asset is, like the bigger the artillery piece, the longer this all takes. So we're going to go ahead and play through. That is a good point, 308. When the mission does start, it will show you the duration in terms of minutes, because the duration will vary depending upon the artillery piece. But yeah, once the mission starts, it will actually show you how many minutes. But it would be a good idea, actually, to have it show it in the beginning. I'm not sure why it doesn't. I think it's just a holdover UI from the Shock Forest days. Okay, so... Yep, I just heard a mortar fire. I don't know if you could hear that on your end. I think that they've actually entered fire for effect. Here's an armored car running up. So here's another little weapon. We have here an anti-tank rifle. You can see this big rifle here that's impossibly sticking through the trench. Whoops. Anti-tank rifles are something that the Soviets still use in 1944. They're kind of obsolete by now, but they're still somewhat useful. It's basically a big rifle. It's like 14.5 millimeter. And they are useful against lightly armored vehicles, like these armored cars, for example. They're still useful against them. They're not going to do much of anything against tanks. Most Soviet units have them. They're pretty common. Definitely don't try to use them against tanks for the most part, but they're are very handy against driving away half-tracks and armored cars. Germans do not have anti-tank rifles. They have rocket weapons like Panzerfaust and Panzerschrecks. The disadvantage of those is that they have a much shorter range than the anti-tank rifle. Okay, so if we select the FO, you notice that this is flashing. That means that there is a support asset that's actually firing. And you can see now the text here has gone to firing 2 minutes duration. So these are going to fire for another 2 minutes or so, and then the fire mission will end. You can also go down here and do an adjust mission. You can basically you can adjust the mission a short distance from where it is, and it'll have to start over with the receiving and spotting phase, but it'll be faster as long as the new target is not too far away from where it's shooting currently. And you can also ceasefire the mission as well. So if we go over here, we can actually see the mortars firing. One of my favorite things is you can actually, if you look really carefully, you can actually... It's kind of hard to see because there's a cloud right above us. You can actually see the mortar rounds all the way up and down. So yeah, you can see we've driven this thing back, and even though the anti-tank rifle's not doing a whole lot of damage to it, it is getting penetrations on it, and it's freaking the crew out and pushing them back. So even though it's usually not going to get an actual kill, it's very good at keeping them at a distance and severely impacting their morale. Vehicle crews do not like it when you penetrate their armor. They tend to fall back. So as you can see, that was timed pretty well. It's landed right on as they're advancing through. Doing a well-timed artillery strike on an advancing infantry attack can be the difference between winning and losing. Now, a big part of victory in this game is using your support assets correctly. So another thing about setting up a defense, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll say it anyways. You want to maximize the amount of open ground your opponent has to cross to get to you. So from this position, they have a ton of open ground to cross to get to me. It's not ideal because there is some wooded area, some foliage for them to hide in, but it's pretty good. If I was to instead set the defense up here, not only would my cover not be that hot, but they'd also have far less open ground to cross, and they'd be much closer to me. It'd be a lot more dangerous to defend there. So when you're setting up your defense, you definitely want to try and maximize the amount of open ground between you and the opponent. Usually, there's circumstances where that isn't the case, but, you know, general principle. You definitely want to maximize the amount of open ground that your opponent has to traverse to get to you, though. Bunker doesn't really do much in this mission. It's pretty much just there to demonstrate how to move a unit in and out of it. I'm just going to fast forward through this turn. Waiting for the reinforcements to... Reinforcements are going to arrive in 2 minutes, so I'm going to fast forward to that, because then we get to move on to the attack. Pretty much the idea of this battle here was you have some action going on, but you don't have to worry about it too much. You can concentrate on learning how to use the support assets was the idea here. So yeah, we're just going to move forward. One more turn and reinforcements will arrive.